March 1968. Saigon, Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Headquarters. The U.S. Intelligence. Colonel didn't shout. He didn't swear. He didn't even blink. He simply slammed the classified folder onto his desk and stared at the numbers, like they were mocking him. Then he reached for the secure phone. There had to be a mistake. The Australian force in Vietnam numbered barely 1,500 men. Statistical footnote compared to the 500,000 American troops spread across the country. A rounding error in Pentagon terms, yet the casualty figures told a story that defied mathematics. For U.S. forces, the kill ratio hovered around 1 to 10, hard fought, brutally earned. For the Australian SAS, the ratio was closer to 1 to 500. Impossible, unacceptable, unexplainable. The colonel demanded answers. The analyst didn't give him a tactical breakdown. He gave him a warning. Sir, you have to understand something. They're not fighting a war. They're hunting. That single sentence would haunt American command for the next 5 years. Because hunting meant ignoring rulebooks. It meant tactics never written in any field manual. Methods so quiet, so methodical, so merciless that even Green Berets felt like amateurs by comparison. America was fighting a war of firepower. Australia was fighting a war of fear. And to understand why the Pentagon quietly buried these statistics and what the SAS was really doing in the jungle, we have to go back to the beginning. Back to the moment the first Australian patrol realized that the American way of war wasn't just flawed. It was a death sentence. July 1966. Vung Tau Ai Raphael D. First SAS operators stepped off the C-130 into a wall of heat that felt physical. Like a punch to the chest. The air was thick, wet, heavy with aviation fuel and something else. Rot, decay, life decomposing in layers. Smell would become permanent. American advisors greeted them politely, but barely hid their contempt. These were soldiers from a country known for sheep farms and surfers. A military budget smaller than what the Pentagon spent on paperwork in a month. What could they possibly teach the most powerful military on Earth? To Washington, Australia's presence was symbolic. A political gesture under the ANZUS alliance. A flag in a coalition photo. They weren't there to change the war. That assumption would soon be shattered. Violently. The American war. The United States had built something unprecedented in Vietnam. A logistical empire stretching from the DMZ to the Mekong Delta. Billions of dollars in bases, airfields, fire bases, supply depots, and communication networks. The skies were black with helicopters, more rotary aircraft than any nation had ever deployed in combat. Artillery batteries could erase grid squares in minutes. Forward observers could summon destruction with a radio call. B-52 Stratofortresses flew 18-hour missions from Guam, dropping payloads capable of reshaping the Earth itself. Operation Arclight delivered more explosive tonnage than all of World War II's European campaign combined. This was American doctrine at its peak. Find the enemy. Fix them in place. Destroy them with overwhelming firepower. It had worked in Europe. It had worked in Korea. It had never failed. Vietnam. And the Australians were about to learn why. 3 weeks later, Phuoc 2 Piaruvian SAS Reconnaissance Patrol moved northwest from their base at Nui. The mission was textbook. Locate enemy routes. Observe. Avoid contact. Extract. After 72 hours, they followed American doctrine daylight movement. Scheduled radio check-ins, trail usage for speed. Sufficient firepower to fight through an ambush. Veterans of Malaya and Borneo. Men who believed they understood jungle warfare. They didn't know they were already being watched, tracked, Measured. The Viet Cong had detected them shortly after insertion. On the morning of day 2, the jungle exploded. The ambush lasted 47 seconds. 2 Australians went down before anyone could react. Then silence. No bodies. No blood trails. No shell casings. The jungle simply swallowed the enemy. It was over, but the lesson had only begun. The question that changed EVR White Tali that night. During debrief, the patrol commander asked the only question that mattered. How did they know we were coming? The answers were brutal. Sound. Every footstep on dry leaves. Every whispered word. Metal clinking. Water sloshing in canteens. In a jungle where the Viet Cong moved in absolute silence. These sounds were alarms. Then came the realization that chilled everyone in the room. Smell. Soap. DEET. Toothpaste. Gun oil. Coffee breath. Foreign chemical signatures that didn't belong in the jungle. Viet Cong didn't just hear them, they smelled them. 3. Generations of warfare had turned scent. Detection into survival science. Everything Western doctrine taught was wrong. And the SAS decided to change everything, becoming. INVI's IBL equipment was stripped and rebuilt. Every metal surface taped or padded. Magazines loaded 1 round short to eliminate spring noise. Canteens filled completely to stop sloshing. Dog tags taped, sewn, or removed entirely. Then they turned on themselves. Soap use eliminated. Deodorant banned. Diet adjusted to reduce body odor. Uniforms rubbed with jungle mud slept in, rolled in, absorbed. They learned to move without walking weight rolling slowly through the foot. Leaf litter compressed silently. 50 meters through bamboo could take 20 minutes. Speed meant death. Silence meant survival. They learned to breathe only through their noses, even under exhaustion. To communicate without sound. To exist without leaving a trace. And it worked. Patrols that once lasted hours now lasted days. The jungle stopped noticing them. The jungle GSEN's enemy. Reports began surfacing. Men disappearing without gunfire. Supply caches compromised with no sign of intrusion. Sentries found dead. No struggle. No alarm. Something hunted the Viet Cong in their own territory. They named it Rừng. The jungle ghosts. The skill technology couldn't replicatmo. The Australians were men trained in tracking skills. Older than civilization itself, knowledge rooted in Aboriginal traditions refined over 40,000 years. They read the jungle like a language. Bent grass. Disturbed spider webs. Moisture patterns on leaves. Oils evaporating from skin contact. They saw what satellites couldn't. In March 1968, an SAS patrol was tasked to locate a Viet Cong command base American technology couldn't find. A tracker disagreed with the satellite imagery. Within hours, he found the invisible trail. 3 days later, they located a hidden underground complex housing over 200 fighters. Coordinates sent B-52S. Erased it from existence. Human skill had beaten billion-dollar technology. The deadliest TCTIC. Final advantage was patience. SAS patrols didn't hunt aggressively. They waited. Days. Sometimes weeks. No fires. Cold rations. No movement. They learned enemy schedules. Leadership patterns. Habits. Then came the static. Ambush. Silent. Precise. Gone. Before anyone understood what happened. And that is how 1,500 Australians achieved what 500,000 Americans could not. They didn't fight the jungle. They became part of it.